it's easy to track the videos. So, like I said in the previous session, the asset accounting module. Hi, Nelly. I can't hear you, sorry.
I'm here.
Okay, you
Okay,
raised your
my
hand.
hand that is raised. It has been
Yeah.
raised since, but I think kind of you've answered the question while configuring, because I was going to ask that. So how do you link the output and the input to your ledgers and all that? So, but you've answered it. But this one that you have to manually put the value of the sales. So for example, now the 1075, we needed to include the 75. Why can't the system just automatically just calculate that it's 1075 before someone will
Sure.
make a mistake?
Now, actually, the system can do that. It also depends on the config we're doing, because what we did in this config, we did not tie it to any company code. If I tie it to any company code, then you guys can also not use it. So if I tie it to a company code, it will automatically calculate, and the setting will work. Yeah, so it does calculate automatically. And also, another reason I left it is in some companies, you might need to enter, you have a physical document you're entering, yeah, and you might need to enter the net, not the gross. So it's also very tricky. For example, if you have a hard copy document and you're entering an invoice that has tax included, you're expected to, at the invoice amount, at the first column, you're supposed to enter the net amount so that the system recognizes VAT. So sometimes it just depends on how the transaction happens, but yeah, it can automatically calculate. In real scenarios, of course, the configs were done would calculate automatically. But for this scenario and for this case, what you need to do is put in the total invoice amount in the invoice page and let the system apportion that part that is meant for tax to tax. Even when you put it there, right? If you have not configured the system, it will not calculate. So it's actually calculating, because the question you should be asking is, how does the system know the portion of VAT that is in that 1075? Do you understand?
I've already configured it to 7.5. So
So that's the idea. The idea is that anything you put there, and the system has actually picked out that value. So the system knows what should be in VAT. You understand? It actually knows. That's why when we entered 1000, it told us no, that you're leaving out 75, which is supposed to be my own value in this transaction. Yeah, so it's fine. Anyone, in some cases, you might need to. I think in my previous project, you need to enter it because you'll be picking the fiscal invoice and imputing it yourself. In some other cases, if the invoice is being generated from the system, all you need to do is just enter the invoice amount and the system calculates. But anyone is fine anyways.
okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for assets, like I've explained, it's basically used to manage your fixed assets, and the configuration quite takes some time. So for all your assets within the organization, there's a structure and there's a way you are expected to manage your fixed asset. Not all your assets, your fixed assets, your properties, plants, and equipment. So if you go to financial accounting, asset accounting, and of course, asset accounting is quite large. So we have consultants for asset accounting alone. Asset accounting is it's a module that is very, very critical. So in very large organizations like the Google, the plants and all that, we have consultants who just focus on this module called asset accounting. They don't do the whole of finance, they just focus on asset accounting. I think it's called EAM assets. I've forgotten that stuff, but it's just basically on asset accounting, asset management, because it's a whole lot of work. It's one of the largest modules in finance. So if you go to asset accounting, first things first, there is a migration. So just check. This one is just for information sake, because in real life, the first thing you need to do is to activate your asset accounting module. In ECC, this activation is not necessary, but when you're using S4, you need to activate your asset accounting module. That's why they say it's new. So it's a new feature in this particular S4. So if you go to migration, you go to migration from classic to new asset accounting. Classic was the old one. We have what we call the new asset accounting. Then you see here, activate asset accounting module. We're using the same server, so I believe it's already activated. It's just for you to know. So 2 is there, it's fine. 1 means in preparation, 2 means active. So leave it at active. So go back. That's the first thing. First thing is to make sure that it's activated. Yeah. Then the next thing is to go to your organizational structure. So if you go here, you have the check country settings and region, copy reference, and all these other steps. If you check country, just means check that your country is here. Of course, US is here. US is not there. I'm not sure any country will be there. US is there. You go back. Then copy reference, chart of accounts, or depreciation area. So click on this. We need to copy from the US we have, because US came with some standard configs that we need to adopt in our own structure. So talking about asset accounting, in asset accounting, the highest hierarchy, let me just use this to explain some stuff. I think I would have used Word. Okay. So of course, the highest hierarchy we have in the asset accounting is what we call your chart of depreciation. And your chart of depreciation, we're going to see the elements that are part of the chart of depreciation. So basically, it manages the depreciation areas, the ledgers that are going to be involved in this depreciation, and the currencies that will be involved, and every other information about depreciation. So everything that happens in depreciation happens in the chart of depreciation. It's the highest hierarchy in the asset accounting module. So what we want to do first is to copy a reference. We cannot create ours from scratch because it will take us the whole year. We have to copy from the standard that SAP has already provided. So we go to copy reference, click on this tab here, copy. Then we're going to be copying reference from a chart of depreciation that is linked to the US. This is the country of our company code. So go to the US, then put your own chart of depreciation. I'll use AAA. I have AA1 here already. I'll use AAA. No, AACA. Oh, no, AAA. That's asset accounting. AA asset accounting. So click on OK. Then to ask you to transport the number ranges and address, say OK down here. Do you really want to transport number ranges? Yes. So just click this. Then you save this in your configuration request. So chart of depreciation OUS has been copied to AAA. Fine. Click on OK. So once we have done the first tax, so you go back. So specify description. Let's put the description for the chart of accounts we just created. So go to position, check for AAA. So chart of depreciation for US, you can say AAA1. That's our company code. Save and go back. Then you can copy or delete depreciation areas. If you double click this, you will, for my depreciation areas based on what has been copied. So the next thing is depreciation areas. So inside your chart of depreciation or under your chart of depreciation, what you will have is depreciation areas. So chart of accounts, like I've said, is the structure. Basically, depreciation areas define your own kind of depreciation. So, but I will show you that as we move on. So you can see that from what we copied, these are the depreciation areas. What are depreciation areas? The different classes of depreciation that that country has. Depreciation in SAP is country specific. So it has looked at all the depreciation class or all the depreciations that are carried out within that country, because if you use more complex applications, depreciation is a little bit more complex. So what this is saying is that if, for example, in your country, there are laws that guide depreciation. In some countries, there are laws that guide even your depreciation method, your depreciation classes. Some laws will tell you for some specific assets, you have to have some kind of tax depreciation for those assets. For some kind of assets, there are certain you can have federal taxes, that you can have a depreciation area that speaks to tax. You can have, if you have a group kind of organization, you can have a depreciation that happens at the group level. So basically, because SAP is a very large applications, the system has tried to factor in different regulations from different countries and different laws that apply to depreciation. So that's basically, if you come into the SAP space, it will, because you do implementation in different countries, it will also help you understand some of the laws. For example, I'm reading about some of the laws that apply to the UK, because at some point, as an accountant, if you're moving to a new country, as a finance person, you need to understand, even if it's the basic laws that apply to business and also basic laws that apply to depreciation, you should be able to acquaint yourselves with that. So in this our scenario, for example, we will just pick the ones that we think are basic, right? There's a state law. This is a law that applies to depreciation. This is a law. This is a law. All these things are laws in the US that apply to depreciation. So for the sake of learning, we won't be using all of them because I don't think they are. We'll just pick, we'll remove some of them. We'll leave the federal tax, which can also be a, so we'll remove this adjusted earnings. We'll remove all these guys, remove states, remove insurance, just leave federal. So just tick on them when you're creating your own and delete. Click on this delete. So what I have here is book depreciation, federal tax, consolidated local, because this one is important because for your local balance sheet, for the depreciations that happen in your assets in your local balance sheet, for the depreciation that happen in the group currency. So this is local currency, this is group currency, this is book depreciation in group currency, this is balance sheet in group currency, this is book depreciation in group currency. Book depreciation basically speaks of depreciation that affects all your GLs. Why balance sheet is just only balance sheet depreciation, and most times it affects the group currency. So these are the basic depreciation I want to apply to my company code. Then at the very end, so once you have specified, so in real life, it's based on your requirement gathering. If you gather requirements and you ask them which of these, if you're doing a group, if you're doing depreciation for a group company, you might not need to, you might not, it depends. Yeah, so you will most likely have this one, two, this two. But if you're not doing a group company, then you can remove everything that speaks to group and leave it at local. So it all depends on the kind of project you're in and the requirements for that business. Now, something very important is that for in your chart of depreciation, you have three legs, three very important areas: the chart of depreciation, the group ledgers or the ledgers, and the accounting principles. So I'll go back here. So your chart of depreciation, you have number one, the depreciation areas, number two, the target ledgers, and number three, you have the accounting principles. Remember when we started this class newly, and of course, I've told you the depreciation areas are, these are the area 1, 10, 30, 31, speaks to this name of the depreciation area. The accounting principles, remember when we started this class, we talked about the accounting principles where we said GAAP or IFRS, depending on the accounting principles you're using. So we need to go back and check the accounting principles we used for our accompanying code. So on this screen, click on /O, go to SPRO. Let's go back again and check. Go to financial accounting, global settings, go to ledgers, define settings for ledgers. We did this at the second day or so of our class. So let's check the depreciation areas we used. So if we check here, because these are all warnings, just say, okay, you don't need to stress yourself. If you check here, remember this page. So first things first, for the leading ledger, so select the leading ledger, go to your company code settings. Say okay here. Check your company code. Mine is AAA1. So see my company code here. Select it or just double click on it. Say okay here. Then you will see the accounting principle I used for my leading ledger, IFRS. So I'll come here and tell the system that for my book current, anything local is IFRS because, sorry, anything, yeah, for my local is IFRS. For my group, I used another currency. So here I'm going to select IFRS because it's my leading ledger. So for the leading ledger, your book depreciations would go to IFRS. So anything, these three taxes are local. This one is local currency. This federal tax is tied to my country and to consolidate balances in local currency. So everything local goes to IFRS. Let's see what we go to group. So come back here. Now we have what we call the non-leading ledger. The non-leading ledger we defined also when we're creating ours. I think my own is this A1. Select A1, go to company code setting. Say okay. So if you come to this end here, you're going to see my own accounting principle for my company code for the non-leading ledger. The first one we did was for the leading ledger. That's OL, 0L. This one is for the non-leading ledger. So I'm going to copy this and come to my accounting, to my chart of depreciation, put the non-leading ledger here and here. Now, for the group currency, sorry, just 1 second. Okay. Okay, sorry about that. So for the group currency, now this non-leading ledger for group currency, there's what we call depreciation areas and how they post. Well, we'll understand that much later, but I might not be able to go to these details. But the most important thing is that book depreciation in local currency okay, once I do this, let me just click on enter. Once you enter all this, just click on enter to take it from there. So once we click on enter, it's going to bring out the target groups for our leading ledger. So these are, remember, the leading ledger is used for reporting, while the non-leading ledger also is used for reporting, but it takes all this information, most of this information from the leading ledger. However, when posting to asset accounting and finance, the book depreciation in local currency, you can see here it says area post in real time. So one of the ledgers must post in real time. If you have more than one ledger, like here we have one leading ledger and one non-leading ledger. The leading ledger that affects your group currency also have to post in real time because it's also a different ledger. It's also a different ledger. So I'm going to double click on this guy. Come here, post in ledger. We need to tell the system area post in real time. So we save this, say okay, say okay. So go back. So first of all, the book depreciation on local currency should post in real time, while the consolidated balance sheet in group currency should also post in real time. Should also post in real time because this is also a different ledger. So these two should post in real time. So if you're done, click on save, then go back. So we are done with this step. Now, once you're done with this, there are some settings we need to do to tell the system how to pick, how will the system be posting depreciation to these different depreciation areas. So we are going to go to general valuation. We'll go to depreciation areas. Let me check. Yeah. So we are going to tell the system how will the system be transferring value. So the idea is that once the system does asset posting, all these 5 depreciation areas will be receiving values at the same time. The book depreciation, the federal tax depreciation, the group currency, local currency, all these 5 depreciation areas will be receiving values immediately because as per for reporting purpose, I should be able to see the depreciation in group currency if I want to check how the asset accounting is faring in the group currency. If I also want to check how it's faring in the local currency, I should be able to do that because once you click on post, all these 5 depreciation areas will receive postings at the same time. So here you need to specify how will the system be transferring acquisition and production cost. That's what we call APC value. So when you procure assets, for example, how will the depreciation areas be posting? So the first thing we need to do here is to specify the transfer of values. So here you can see that book depreciation post real time. That's why it's 00 here. 10 is federal. Federal is speaking from group because this is 01. 01 is 01 here. Consolidated balance sheet in local currency is also picking from 01. However, this consolidated balance sheet in group, remember, it also posts to real time, but here it's showing that it's picking from 30, which is not correct. It should also post in real time. That it should be 00 also. So I'm going to remove this guy. Yeah, and I'm also going to so if you want it to post to real time, don't put 00, just untick it. Yeah, and make sure when you untick it, also tell the system that this consolidated balance sheet in local currency is identical to this local because they all put local currency. So it's also identical to this 01. So you have to tick identical at this point. Leave this one 0, leave this one blank, and click on enter. See, it automatically the system has picked it as 00. So 00 means here that this ledger or this depreciation area is expected to post on real time, just like this one. Then this consolidated balance sheet in local currency is identical with this one. That's why I had to tick this one. Why this group is identical to group, local is identical to local. So this group under will be picking from 31 instead of 01. This is 32. So 32 will pick from 31. 30 we pick from 01. 10 will pick from 01. So that's the settings we need to do here. Click on enter and save. When you save this, you go back. The next we have to is to, now this is for acquisition and production costs when you acquire assets. When we depreciate assets, we need to also specify how the system will transfer postings to those 5 depreciation areas. So execute this. So you can also see here that the federal should also pick from the 01. Sorry, let me check this. Okay. The federal should pick from 01. Consolidated balance sheet is, you should leave this blank because it's also real time. Leave this blank. You should also make this identical, just like we did in the previous page. So the previous page is acquisition and production. This page is depreciation. So leave this blank. This is also fine. We can untick this one because it's not picking from anybody. So click on enter. So you see, the one that is 00 does not pick from anybody, but this one is identical to this. This is so here we'll also pick from 31. So group currency will pick from group currency, local will pick from local. Then you click on save. And you say okay. So you'll specify how the system will, you're just mapping how the depreciation will relate to each other. The last thing we are going to do is we are going to tell the system how these currencies will, how will the system pick currencies, because some are using local currency and some are using group currency. So we need to tell the system which of them will use local, which of them will use group. So, sorry. If you go to currency, let me see this. Okay, specify the use of parallel currencies because we have currency for group and currency for local. So here, this is ticked already. So for group currency will use group currency. This is also a group currency. We also use group currency. These other ones will pick from the local currency because these are group. These are group. So you select group currency for group currency because they're going to be using the group currency. Remember, we defined group currency when we were doing when we did the currency settings for this guy. Remember when we did this currency conversion? We told the system that we're going to be having, this is our company code currency. I know we'll define 30 as group currency. So it's that group currency that we're also applying here. Use 30 as a group currency. You're done, you click on save and you say okay. So once you map and make sure that these postings are posting correctly, you now go back to your, go to organizational data, go to your assign chart of depreciation to company code. Go there. Then look for your company code. Go and enter. Then put in your chart of depreciation, which you just created. Click on enter. Something we need to also, before we do this, let's also check and set. Oh, this is also wants me to save this. Let's go and check. Let's set our currency. So go to currency valuation, set chart of depreciation. Okay, it's already set here, so it's fine. So we can still go back again and just assign. Go to our company code. So it's already there. So AAAA, click on save. So it's already saved. But let me go and show, let me just go and move it and save it again. Because I was rushing out of that step. So if we come out, go back and assign, go to AAA1 rather, AAA1, put your chart of depreciation, click on enter and save. Then you save this, everything is fine. So this is one of the major steps you have to carry out in doing your configuration. I think because of the time, I will take one more step, then we'll call it a day. The next step I'm going to, any questions?
Okay, yes. When you are putting, there are certain places we are putting AAA, then some AA1. I hope
Yeah, AA1. AA1 is my company code.
Yes, AAA.
The last chart of depreciation.
Okay, that's no problem.
Yes, the chart of depreciation. Okay, the next step we're going to do is to define what we call the asset classes. Very, very important. So how do your organization manage its fixed asset? How does the system track the fixed asset? How do you classify your assets? Kelechi, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
How do you classify your assets in your balance sheet? Fixed assets. Furniture, this one, machinery. How do you group them?
Like here?
If all the assets you have in your office, how do you classify them? Do you classify them according to
asset now?
Eh?
They are all classified under fixed assets.
Also, so when you break down your fixed asset, what do you have? What kind of fixed assets do you have? Example, do you classify them as furniture and fittings?
No. Furniture and fittings are all the like chairs, AC, all those other ones. Then generator and the vehicle are just a standalone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are standalone.
So what I'm asking is
I think there's something they call long-lived assets and non-lived assets.
That's in your balance sheet, long-term and current assets. So that's
long-term and short-term.
Yeah, that's basically
those ones. Yes, those ones like those machineries now, like generators, plants and machinery, vehicle. Those ones are long-term assets.
What I'm just saying is, no, don't worry. What I'm just saying is that in a company, right, you will have a lot of assets, everywhere in different locations. The idea of asset classes is how do you classify them? How do you tell which one should be under furniture and fittings, which one should be under machineries, which one should be under plants, which one should be under buildings? So these are basically so physically, all those assets you're seeing and you're taking stock of, different organizations have different ways of classifying their assets so that you can properly manage them. So the next thing we are going to be looking at is what we call asset classes. So the essence of asset class is to be able to classify your assets into different kinds of structures. So the first things first, for us to define asset class, we need to define what we call the account determination, the layout rules, and the number range. So these are things that we use to track the physical assets when they are actually created in the system. So account determination is just a number, a number that tracks these classes of assets. So I'm going to have only 3 classes, but I'm going to work with only one because of time. I'm going to have buildings, machineries, furniture, fixture. I think I will do one. You guys can do 3. I will just have buildings and fixtures, or machinery and fixtures. Please, you can do up to 5. These are the 2 classes of assets I have, right? So I want to create my own asset class because this thing here belongs to others. So I want to create machinery and fixtures. I can copy. I can just tick here and copy, or I can click on new, whichever one is fine. So I want these 2, so I click on copy. Then I go to account information, put my company code so it fits. So AA, depending on how you want to. If you want to use numbers, you're fine. If you want to use alphabet, you're fine. But I like making it close to my company code. AA, machinery and equipment. AA, furniture and fittings. So these are the 2 asset classes I have. All assets that are fixed assets will fall in these categories.
Oh, yeah, no.
Fall in this category. So I'm done. I click on copy. So I have AAFF and AAME as my asset classes. I'm going to go back. So I come here and say AA machinery equipment. So you can see them here. AAME. Okay. So I've created. I click on save and say okay. So I've classified my account determination. The next thing is to create screen layout rules. Create screen layout rules. So I will still copy fixtures and machinery. Where is machinery? I'll use this vehicle. Then I'll copy. Can also click on new if you like. So copy. So I'll call this AA also FF and AAME. So here I'll change this to machinery and equipment. Then save and say okay. So I've actually done my screen layout rules. The next, I'm going to define number range. So when the system is posting, it will pick from a certain number range. So I'll say define number range intervals, put my company code, check if there are intervals. So when you put on AA1, check here if there are any existing intervals, because I know we copied from US. So there are no intervals. So I can copy. If I go back, I can decide to copy. So I can copy from, I think this German company code always has something there. So I can copy from, even on, you can copy, I have one existing here. So these are, I can copy from this guy, KHS, I don't know if this has anything, to AAA1, click on OK. Yeah. So it has, if you go to interval now, there's something. Or you can choose to add. If you want to add, you can click on add, then put your number range here. You can say 003,000 to 493,999. You can also create yours. Doesn't mean you can also create yours and save. Anyone you want is fine. Okay, so I've done that. So I've created these 3. I've specified account determination, the screen layout rules. Screen layout rules basically manages how the screens will behave when you're creating your asset master. The number range is the numbers the system will pick when doing posting. Then once you have done these 3, the last step is to define what we call your asset classes. So I'll go to define asset class. Yeah, I'll click on, I can copy. I'll copy from machinery and fixtures. Copy, or you can create your new one. So in your assets, remember my asset class, I will use AAME, machinery and fittings. In my account determination, remember My account determination was AAME2, so you can check. So it's up here, AAME for machineries. My screen layout, it was also AAME, so come down, check AAME. Then my number range, I think number range is fine. 02 is, so these are my number range here. So see my number range here, 01, can select this 01. Then include assets, no AUC, so everything is fine. Then I'll click on copy. Then the next one will come up. The next one is for fixtures. My fixtures was AAFF. Then the account denomination AAFF. My screen layout rules was AAFF. Then my number range, click the drop down, can still use can use this AA. Okay, everything looks good. Then copy. And the last, I've created these two, then I save. And say okay. So I've successfully created my number range. So this is where we're going to end for today. When we come next time, we're now going to do what we call, we're going to assign GLs. We're going to do GL account determination and some other steps, preparing us to create our assets. So I'd love you to also go through, because in our next step, just before we go, let's just check one thing. Let's go to integration with GLs. Let's check assign input tax indicator. Remember, we did non-taxable acquisition. So select here and check. So you see AAA1 should be here. Let me see. Okay, so it's already there. So it's fine. So check this. Give me a screenshot of your asset classes. Give me a screenshot of your tax postings. And remember to do the assignment for this week, which I sent to you in the group last week. Any questions? Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. I saw what, you said that there's no AUC. What is the meaning of AUC?
Asset under construction.
Okay,
yeah. So basically, asset under construction. So, for example, if your company code has one property is developing somewhere, and yeah, at the end of the day, you manage it as an AUC. It will sit. It won't sit as a fixed asset yet in your balance sheet. It will sit under work in progress. Then when the asset is complete, you can now move it from work in progress to your fixed asset actually. So that's the idea behind the
So
AUC.
it's not covered by this, because you said that you use
No, it's not.
Yeah,
No, it's
SAP
not.
asset model, that it is only for fixed assets.
It's covered. It's covered by this. We'll see if we have the time. There are a lot of things in SAP, yeah, but let's do the basics, right? Let's get the foundation, then we'll take it up from there. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. So you have this week again, you have some work to do. So for those who are trying to catch up, please catch up pretty fast because the work has multiplied. So you have two things to do now. You have two things to do now. You have number one, conclude your. I think some of you sent me screenshots. Wonderful. Some of you are actually following me close to close. So if you have not concluded, conclude your assignments for previous week. You have two assignments to do this week. So let me reshare it so that you will not say you didn't see it. Especially, where is Jules? Is Jules here? I don't think she joined this session. I don't think she joined. Okay, so I've reshared the assignments. So remember to do them.
So I have a question. Those
Yes,
assignments, the two ones they said that we're going to do this week.
Yes.
Do you need us to send screenshots, or you are going to see them with our company code?
Okay, no need sending. I will see them in your company codes. So what you can do for me, use the dates on that stuff. Use the date so that I can track it by the dates.
Okay.
Yes, use the actual dates
the
on
dates
the
on the test.
transaction. Exactly.
I hope
Exactly.
you will not be giving us a problem when you put date and they do not give error messages on
No,
date.
no. The year is open now. Your from January to December is open, so you're fine. Just stick to the transactions. So remember, you can do one, okay, because of the volume, right? You can pick one assignment this week and update yourself based on the training we have done this week, right? Next week, so I'll indicate here on the chart, this is for this week. This week. So I've indicated on the chart, the first one will be for this week. So finish that for this week. Do your tax mapping. Show me your screenshot for the tax. Then do your configuration to asset up to this point that I've gotten to. Right. So let's have a great week, guys. And see you guys next weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Yeah. So I'll send the recordings almost immediately.
Thank you.
Yeah, and okay. Nelly and Innocent, you guys have done BA now, so I think you guys are good.
Yeah, we are to some extent. Maybe we'll follow the class to this thing. I beg.
No problem. No problem. It's fine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And they say it's starting by
should be second week of January.
The second week of January. Okay, thanks. Just to let you know.
No problem. No problem. You are free to share your thoughts.
Yes. Okay. No problem.
You're free. Please feel free.
It will be on Saturdays. It will be on Saturdays, right?
Yeah. It will be on Saturdays.
Okay. Before that, you tell us the time.
No worries.
You'll be posting whatever in there. You'll be posting
in the group. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, in the group.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Is internship we are looking for?
Internship. Yeah. So I will call that. So the plan is to basically have a long term, because I've seen that